That summer, I turned 22. By all accounts, it should have been a normal year, working dead-end shifts at my dad's hardware store, earning barely enough to buy gas, still living at home because college was a waste of money according to my father Banks. At home, I was the family punching bag. My brother Alan, dad's golden child, took every chance to remind me of it. My mother Irene would sometimes whisper, "That's enough, boys," but it was always just for show. So when my dad announced we were driving to Colorado for my uncle's wedding, I should have known better. A family road trip with them was never about family. 3 days into the trip, I was already regretting not faking an illness to stay behind. Alan and Dad had turned every mile into a game. How much misery can we pile on Salvador? Mom sat silently in the passenger seat, adjusting her makeup. That morning, we pulled into a lonely rest stop. Nothing but fields, a rundown bathroom building, and some vending machines. I climbed out wearing my faded Metallica shirt and worn-out Vans, just needing to stretch and use the restroom. My phone was charging in the car. My wallet? Still in the glove box. After all, we were in the middle of nowhere. Why would I need it? 10 minutes later, I stepped back into the sun, blinking at the empty parking lot. Our green Suburban was gone. At first, I thought they'd moved it. Maybe a prank. I walked the entire rest area. Nothing. That's the thing about betrayal by your own blood. It cuts deeper than anything else. I sat on the curb for an hour, waiting, convincing myself they'd circle back, laughing, saying, "Relax, Salvador. It was just a joke." They never did. A trucker asked if I was okay. I lied, said I was waiting for my girlfriend. Another hour passed, and another. Eventually, I knew. They weren't coming back. I almost borrowed a stranger's phone to beg them to return. But then I heard the voices in my head, Dad saying, "He'll figure it out if he's not as stupid as he looks." Alan laughing, "Bet he's crying right now." Mom whispering weakly, "Banks, maybe we should," but never meaning it. So instead, I made a different call. I asked a woman with 2 kids if I could use her phone, not to call my family, but to get the number of the nearest shelter. Then I asked if she could drive me into town. Somehow she agreed. That night, I ended up at a shelter in Grand Junction. Nothing but the clothes on my back, no ID, no money, no contacts. But I had a choice. Chase after the people who abandoned me or start over. I chose to start over. Within 2 days, I was scrubbing dishes at a diner called Sonny's. The owner, Geraldine, was in her 60s, with purple streaks in her gray hair and tattoos up her arms. She looked me up and down and said, "The dishwasher quit yesterday. You steal from me, you're dead. Start now." And just like that, I had a job. For a week, I worked doubles, slept at the shelter, wore donated clothes. A volunteer named Dave helped me apply for replacement ID. With my first paycheck, I bought a cheap prepaid phone. Then it rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Salvador?" It was my mother. Her voice trembled. "Where are you?" "We've been looking everywhere. It was supposed to be a joke, but when we came back, you were gone." In the background, I heard Alan laughing, Dad growling, "Tell him to quit being dramatic and get to Rick's wedding." And suddenly everything was clear. "You wanted to see if I could make it on my own," I said, my voice steady. "Watch me." Then I hung up, blocked the number, blocked every number I could remember. The last thing I heard before cutting the line forever was Alan's laugh. That was the moment my old life ended. The first year was brutal. I lived above a laundromat in a studio apartment that smelled permanently of fabric softener. But it was mine. I worked my way from dishwasher to prep cook. Geraldine taught me how to chop vegetables without losing a finger. She became something like family, the kind that doesn't make you flinch when they raise their voice. Sometimes I'd check my old email, dozens of unread messages. "Mom, please come home. We're sorry." "Dad, this childish stunt needs to end now." Alan, "Dude, it was just a joke. Stop being such a an expletive." I never replied, because freedom tastes too good to go back to the cage. 5 years later, I'd built a new life, a small one, but solid. I was studying business online, saving money and running Sunny's second location. That's when I met Kendra. She came in every Tuesday and Thursday, always ordered a Denver omelet with no tomatoes, and buried herself in med school textbooks. For 4 months, I kept refilling her coffee before she finally looked up and smiled at me. Our first date wasn't even planned. Her study group canceled. She had a reservation at a pizza place and asked if I wanted to come. 6 months later, she moved in. A year after that, we shared a slightly bigger place together. For the first time, I felt like maybe I wasn't just surviving. Maybe I was living. My family? I watched from a distance through fake accounts. Dad's hardware store collapsed after a Home Depot opened. He ranted on community pages, angrier by the day. Mom posted endless throwback photos, pretending we'd been a happy family. Alan's life was a carousel of DUIs, failed jobs, and new opportunities that went nowhere. Meanwhile, I was making something real. Geraldine trusted me to run Sunny's East. Later, I helped open a third location. I wasn't rich, but I was stable. Kendra finished med school. We got married in a small ceremony at a state park. My neighbor Doug, who brewed awful homemade beer, was my best man. Geraldine baked the cake and cried through the whole thing. For the first time in my life, I had a family that chose me. 15 years passed. By then, Kendra and I had 2 kids, Ellie and Marcus. We owned a modest house with a backyard. I still ran Sunny's, but I no longer worked the line unless someone called out. Then one evening, I noticed a strange LinkedIn notification. Someone had viewed my profile 27 times. The name? Alan. A few days later, it happened. I was at Sunny's East when Maya, one of our servers, said, "Sal, there's some family here asking for you." I walked out, and there they were. Banks looked smaller, worn down. Irene's hair was dyed a harsh shade of brown, her face pinched from years of strain. Alan stood there, older but still carrying himself with that same smug weight, and with them, a young woman I didn't recognize. For a long moment, none of us spoke. The lunch crowd's chatter blurred into silence. Finally, Banks said my name like a question. I nodded, but I didn't smile. I'd imagined this moment 1,000 ways. Me screaming, me laughing in their faces, me acting like I didn't care. But standing there, with my staff watching and my life solidly built without them, I realized the truth. I didn't need revenge. I already won. Sometimes the best revenge is simply moving on.